So I'm just telling everybody a little bit about America's third party. I was saying that we are fiscally conservative, which means that we don't want the government to spend a whole lot of money, and we're socially liberal, which means that we actually want to help take care of the constituents, take care of the US citizens. I actually have to say that recently I've realized that I'm actually disturbed by two different lines of thinking. One side is the side where it's like, oh, I'm receiving people that are receiving disability or receiving unemployment or some kind of welfare benefits from the government, and I ask them, hey, would you be willing to go and actually work on a farm for $15 to $20 an hour, which I think $15 to $20 an hour is a good wage. And I've heard a couple of people say, no, I wouldn't possibly do that. Working on a farm is like labor. And ironically, these same individuals I've talked to have a problem with immigrants coming into this nation who are working on a farm. So anyway, I have a little bit of problem with that. I feel like in some ways our welfare state has gone so far to help people that it almost keeps people in this state of living off the government dole and not actually bothering to help themselves get into a better situation. Now, that doesn't go for everybody on welfare or anything like that. I also have to say I'm equally disturbed when I hear people say, oh, all those people on welfare and everybody should just work constantly, and if people don't work, they should just starve to death. I don't feel that way either. I'm not a pure capitalist, and I'm not a pure socialist or anything like that. We actually wrote a book at americasthirdparty.com, both myself, Sarah Hart, and David John Sponheim, and it's called Hybrid Capitalism. And that's available for sale on our website, americasthirdparty.com, and you can click the store in order to purchase it. It's available on the Kindle, and it's also available in paperback. Some of the ideas in the book really talk about how we can help America. So I'm going to give you a little bit of insight into it. One thing is, for instance, having the government look for a return on investment when, instead of just giving money to the welfare system or any system, the government should always look on how can we save money on this system, still take care of the citizens, look at what is the problem and how can we solve this problem in the most cost-effective way. So one issue that I like to talk about a lot is of course the housing issue. And I'm talking to you, Loving Sarah is No Crime is a username in one of my chat shows. I'm talking to you, and I'm talking to the American people. I'm actually doing a little recording right now. So with the housing issue in 2008, what was happening is the banks were giving loans to people who basically couldn't afford these houses. They were saying, oh, that's okay, you can afford a $500,000 house on a $35,000 a year income, which is ridiculous. People really can't do that. Or whatever the case may be, they were signing away saying, yes, this person is eligible, in order for the bankers to get, or whoever was signing the paper, real estate agents and bankers as well, to get a little kickback. Oh, hey, I get 3% if I sell a house if they're a realtor. The buyer and the seller real estate agent gets that, and then of course the banker who signs over the loan agreement gets some kind of like percentage. And then what was happening is AIG was saying, oh, don't worry about, we'll insure these loans, we'll insure everybody. And then in 2008, basically they were borrowing money from China, and China said, oh, all these people are defaulting on the loans, AIG, you're supposed to insure them, pay up. And AIG's like, we don't have the money. We're going to have to call the Federal Reserve and say, we need all of this money. Otherwise, it's basically history. We're going to have to seize the assets, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, the thing that we believe is with housing. A question just came in the chat room. How can you convince somebody that they can afford a house? Well, the thing is that here in America, we actually always said, there was this big, huge advertising campaign like, you have to have the American dream. And the American dream was the idea that home ownership is the American dream. Everybody wants to own a home. If you don't want to own a home, then something's wrong with you. And so everyone felt like this was the ultimate goal, is home ownership. I do feel that home ownership is an incredible thing, because actually if people own a home, then much of their other costs, it's like it's such a relief off of them. When of course you have a payment to a mortgage company, it's not a relief. But if you finally actually are able to pay off that note to the mortgage company, then you actually, it's your other bills, you can work less because you don't have as many bills to pay. Of course, you have insurance and taxes and things like that, and you do have to maintain your home. But there are people out there in America today that are working minimum wage jobs and have $1,500 a month payments for rents. It's not even a mortgage payment. That's what they have to pay just for the privilege of living in somebody else's house. So their idea was, hey, if I can put this toward a mortgage and I can eventually own it and eventually not have this payment, that was one of the things they did to actually sell it as well. So one thing I do believe in is with the Homestead Renewal Plan, when I said the government should look at the problem is we need to have housing for people, affordable housing for people. And then let's look at the solutions. Right now, what they've done is they've given loans to people who can't afford them. They've backed these loans, given them through Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and the government is kind of backing the loans. That's one thing they've done. They've done the Section 8 housing voucher. So basically people with low income, they'll pay part of their rent payment if they qualify for Section 8. And really, I think that one thing there, that with that, those are really interesting ideas. But what happens is the government is not making any money back. They're just constantly throwing money at the problem and not finding an answer to the solution. The solution that we propose in America's Third Party is a Homestead Renewal Plan where people work and actually invest their own labor into building up a home that they can eventually have, live in at a very low rate, or even eventually buy. So that's the idea behind the Homestead Renewal Plan. That's a little bit about America's Third Party. I hope you continue to watch our show. We're live every single weeknight. We're still going to be live after this recording, so don't go anywhere if you're watching my show. And I look forward to hearing from you. If you have any questions or concerns or ideas about what you'd like to see, you can always feel free to email us at americasthirdparty@gmail.com. Thank you so much. Take care.